Welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG actual play podcast. To find out more, visit us online at cityonahillgaming.com or follow us on Twitter at cityonahillgame. We hope you enjoy our show.
You three, however, have an appointment. There is an observation tower / office tower here. It has sort of a look of an old Terran air traffic control center, but significantly larger, which makes some sense as the headquarters of a shipping conglomerate. RMD Logical Transport, is not especially large, but they are important out here, certainly important enough to have the ear of the coalition government here on Zagreus 4 at the very least, and probably further beyond. There's a ride up a lift, and as you open up, you see there's a well-appointed office at the top, and a gentleman behind a desk. You can see his picture here in our NPCs tab as well. This is apparently an uplifted bird, some sort of fowl, species, perhaps, but surprisingly human, dressed in robes, an older-looking male sitting behind a desk. He looks up at you. You've arrived. Good. You three come here. I need you to start investigating this immediately.
What have you got?
How much do you know about shipping and delivery out here on the frontiers of this sector?
As little as possible.
About as much as you could expect somebody who used to be attached to an anti-piracy task force to know.
Good. Well, you understand that much at least. You all know, of course, this is a universe without faster than light communication. As a result, ships travel at faster than light speeds. They tend to bear messages. RMD Logical Transport's business is shipping, but a large part of what they ship is mail. Essentially, they have stagecoach ships. One of our coach ships has gone missing. Not sure what happened. We didn't get any sort of distress message from any of the usual drones. We need you to go find it. It's out in I'll give you the usual route information, but needs to be done.
Manned or automated?
Small complement of crew. One's going, they do a few hops and then trade off, get a bit of leave, and then trade. The next time another coach ship comes around, they pilot it a bit. They sort of rotate through. You know how it goes.
So it isn't just cargo recovery.
No, not cargo.
So
recovery.
It's using the Pony Express model.
Change out riders every so often.
Fundamentally, yes. Yeah. It's not the most glamorous assignment, but it is important, as I'm sure you know. Some of these more distant outposts, we're the only route that delivers anything to them, and they see us once every 6 months.
Is there enough of value to bother stealing it?
Depends what you find valuable. Ships are mostly messages, but of course, some of those messages are sensitive data, encrypted. Some of it is government information, terraforming statistics, meteorological, economic data, the sort of thing that is important, if not exactly glamorous.
But not the kind of
Some
thing
of it, of course, is business
about.
Information. Well, it depends if you think intercepting business communications and plans is of importance. Some folks might. But of course, if you're willing to pay for it, we do deliver small, expensive items that can't wait for bespoke shipping. So certainly possible.
Mm.
That said, well, here, take a look at this. And he hands over a data pad with what you recognize as a ship manifest on it. The potential, I suppose, that something odd happened with the ship, but right now I don't really care. I just want it back with as many pieces of it as you can find and whatever cargo you can retain. If you can't get it back yourselves, at least mark it, know where it is. We'll get a crew sent out to get her fixed back up, limp her home.
Assuming, and I suppose, of course, it goes without saying that speaking of crew, the crew on here is very high in the priority list of things to
goes
recover.
without saying, obviously.
Does anything stand out on the data
a
pad?
little tiny, like half smile, like
You're looking for information? That sounds like you should roll me a scope it out roll. So this is our first roll of the session here. Roll me 2d6.
Okay.
And in this case, you're going to add calculating.
Yay.
That's the approach that's used with scope it out.
So I want to do 2d6, and then my calculating is 2.
Yep.
Okay. So that is a 9.
A 9. Okay, you're right in that 7 to 9 range. So there's a list of questions on the scope it out roll. You can see that on your moves list in the character keeper, basic moves.
Okay.
Right. It is one of the exploration moves. First one.
May not have scrolled far enough yet. Okay, wait, hold on.
The tabs are crew, ship, and basic moves.
Basic moves. Okay, that was on the other one.
Yep.
Scope it out. Okay.
Yes. There's a list of questions there. 7 to 9, your perception is a little dull. Ask one of these questions.
What should I be on the lookout for?
You should be on the lookout for something that's on the manifest that's unusual, or something that's on the manifest that didn't actually make it onto the ship.
Okay. Now what? Out of character. Now what? Sorry.
That's your information.
So what do I find when I look at the manifest then?
Well, that's what. Sorry, I may not have. I'm sorry. I'm not being clear here because that's on me. This is one of the. I think the second time I've tried to run a PBTA game, so I'm a little fuzzy about some of this stuff.
Yeah, you're
occasionally
fine.
myself. I apologize. Yeah. So what are you on the lookout for? I would say so I need to be more specific about that, and that's on me. You're studying the manifest. One thing that stands out to you, looking at the cargo and looking at the ratings for the ship, there is more cargo listed as being loaded than you think that ship can hold.
Is there something specific I could point out that shows like a weight discrepancy?
You would guess. Well,
and I mean literally, is there something I could point out to like?
Well, I'm going to say this. You can very easily say, hey, I think there might be a weight discrepancy, and ask for, information about takeoff, the technical details of the takeoff, the sort of stuff that's logged as they.
I want to actually point it out to Alistair before I say anything to the guy.
Gotcha.
So, like, is there something on the data pad I can just like point at?
At this point, probably not one specific thing, but
Okay.
Certainly the sum total looks like more than what you think this ship could have fit in its holds.
Okay, so I tap him on the shoulder.
Specifically, actually, you know what? I'll be more specific than that. You think there's one extra rack of data storage units.
Okay, so I tap Alistair on the shoulder and I point at the sum total number on the bottom, and then I point at the one extra rack and just shake my head.
Alistair will give kind of like an outside observer probably wouldn't notice this, but like a flash of surprise goes across his face. Like you can see that he doesn't think that's right either. He clamps it down really fast, but you know that you got the message through. He kind of gives you a quick, meaningful look and then kind of glances back and resumes his usual kind of stoic look.
I point at specifically that item on the data pad and I turn it towards Santiago. Where is this headed?
It's headed. It starts its route to remote system. This whole sector, of course, has Greek names. It's Eocanthus is the system. There's 2 small settlements in that system, if I recall correctly.
This is more weight than the ship can hold.
Really?
Yes, significantly. Well,
Oh.
significantly enough.
Sounds to me then like you ought to start talking to some stevedores.
So what now?
Stevedores. The
People
folks
that load the ship.
Oh,
Yeah, load and
okay.
unload cargo off ship.
Gotcha. Where do we find them?
Turns around in his chair, points down there. We move them around to, from dock to dock, depending on what ships are in. But speak with the dock head. He should be able to give you a manifest of who was working, then find you a few folks to talk to.
May I keep the data pad?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. She keeps a satchel. It goes in the satchel, like messenger bag style.
Good. Good. He sort of pokes the wattles that hang down beside his cheeks, or caresses them. Understand, of course, we're not an enormous outfit here, not like some of the big shipping conglomerates further in towards Terra, but the loss of this ship is significant. If it can be recovered, if its crew can be recovered, if its cargo can be recovered, it'll save me and the Coalition a great deal. And those systems, those settlements out there, they depend on us. I don't have to tell you how important communications, vital supplies, vital data is. We make that possible.
You certainly do not.
That means this. I'd like it if you would treat this as a priority.
How long had they been gone when you lost contact?
Tough to say. We
talking hours or days?
Days, not weeks.
So early in their run.
Yes, they would, make one or two stopovers just to, they can only go so far in a jump. It's not we have cargo ship engines, not, fancy military ones.
How,
Right. And you've also got, I would assume, like a star chart of like the usual route that they would stop.
Yes,
specifically to refuel along the way.
And of course,
we'll
it should be
definitely
on the
need
data
that
pad as
before we
well.
leave.
And of course, I'll transmit that to your ship navigator.
how many days ago
Oh, 6?
was last contact? Oh,
Last contact. But we don't expect regular contact from them.
How often do they typically contact you?
Honestly, usually when they reach their destination. They have emergency beacons. None of those were activated, along the way. We just were notified by a priority messenger drone, one of the more expensive ones that colony on Aocanthus has, notified that the ship was overdue by 2 days.
and that was 6 days ago.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Well, yes, 6 days.
Okay.
You understand, of course, that means that Coalition navies had you move, was notified within 4 days here. This is a big deal.
Fair enough.
He
Right.
puffs up a
You
little
gave them
bit.
enough time to be late, but not so much that this has gone totally cold. I understand.
Precisely. Doesn't,
If I might, not intending any offense here, how much do you have in the way of black market and smuggling going on under that? Obviously not official, and not authorized, but any transportation of goods tends to be a target of smugglers. Have you been aware of anything like that?
You see him bristle a bit before he actually catches your meaning.
And no offense, and I mean no offense to you.
Your internal investigations, have they turned up anything lately? I think is what my colleague is trying to.
Well, I certainly don't know of any. I haven't heard of any, but I'll have my people ask around about it.
Yeah, because sometimes, like,
Here's a hint. I'm currently talking to my people.
Fair enough. Okay, so you don't have much like in the way of internal reports about previous smuggling that you folks have caught, people trying to slip onto your ships and
it's
that sort of
happened
a thing,
once.
because that
Happens once or twice a year, but we make sure those folks don't work for us or anybody we know. Fuel's expensive. It's a lot more expensive than the reward we get for turning them in. Don't like that sort of thing.
fair. You run a tight ship and you've managed to keep the black marketers out. I can respect that.
As far as I know, of course.
Right. The really professional ones are hard to catch, and yeah. Either of you have anything else that you want to ask? I'd like to start talking to a couple of folks back on the ship and see if we can figure out our next course of action here. This definitely sounds like something we need to get on right away.
I want to talk
Tell you
to
what,
a dock
what I
master.
do want to do is Trevor, since you've been negotiating with him, trying to, kind of setting out the terms of this contract here, I would like you to make me a roll. And here you're rolling with disposition, which in this case is a 0. So just give me a straight 2d6 roll. This is the negotiate terms move. That's an 8.
8.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I think we'll just sort of background this at some point here. You've been talking with him enough. You've earned his trust a little bit. When it becomes relevant, you'll have some background information that he's told you, a little extra something that you've been able to kind of pull out of him as you've talked with him. Santiago waves at you. All right, get down there, talk to them, and then get out there and find my ship.
Will do.
Good. Jackson, he yells into a desk microphone. He's already dismissed you. He's done. He's talking to somebody else.
Okay, so we're gonna walk out into the hallway, and Alistair look at the other ones. It's like, so do we want to go and talk to the stevedores as ourselves, or do we want to try and blend in and see what we can find out that way?
Blend
I
first.
can see pros and cons of both. All right. I think I've got a suit of greasy coveralls in a locker someplace that I can grab.
She looks at what she always wears.
You have somebody very good at this, in fact.
So
I was going to say,
yeah.
Well, if you guys want to take face, I will try to go unnoticed and see what I can hear, see what I can see.
It's worth noticing that, like, Alistair does not blend. Alistair is like a 6'4", 50-something guy with a beard that reaches down to about the middle of his chest, and like long hair that comes down like to right between his shoulder blades. He is kind of, this independent contractor thing that we do where we still have some rank, but we're not actually part of the military. He has taken advantage of this to grow a lot of hair and a lot of beard. And so he is big and he is obvious.
Mood. Well, I'm pretty sure the military level prosthetics mean Chiana sticks out a little bit too.
Yeah, you can just stick those under some sleeves, though.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Trevor
And
does.
work gloves.
Fair.
Yep. All right. So you've got people to ask. Now's probably a good time to start. Stevedores here. They work up and down the docks. Ships are coming and going with some regularity, and the ships that arrive tend to be pretty large cargo ships or feeder ships for those large cargo ships. So there's a fair bit of activity going on, but that also means that there's shifts of people that work. These are pretty close to 24-hour docks, and that means there's lots of folks off duty and hangouts for those off duty, kind of all around the dock area.
Does the ship we're looking for have a name?
Yes, it's the Glacialis.
Glacialis. Okay.
Glacialis. It's got two sister ships, incidentally, the Mysticetus and the Musculus, all named after scientific names of whales. A very specific and odd choice, but
intriguing.
That's apparently how he rolls.
So I have a suggestion for how we approach this. I say we come in, we transfer, things to another data pad if we need to or whatever to fit in a little bit better. But we basically approach somebody who would be in charge of loading something like this and approach them with like whatever we think looks the most suspicious. I want to make sure that this made it onto the, the ship. I need the
we're verifying
stuff like that. And
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, we're hearing like that there might be some kind of an issue with the shipment, and like the client is going to be very nervous, and we might need to be dealing with a lot of insurance paperwork and
Do we want to
we
stick
can
with the
just kind
one
of
he gave us because it's corporate? The datapad?
we can we what we might want to do is transfer it to a slightly more scuffed and dinged data pad, so it looks like something used in the actual
Yeah.
Everyday
commission
So-
these duties. Yeah.
What I will suggest, remember, we're doing this as a very narrative style of game. You can plan this all out, or you can simply say, all right, this is how I'm doing it. And those things are established and we run with them. And that's cool.
And I think transfer is a good choice,
Yeah.
to be fair.
But like I don't know. I'm kind of like I don't have a telepathic link with my fellow players here.
No,
So
of course not.
I kind of, some of this is kind of in character too.
Sure.
So
Trevor's going to be hanging back from you two as we get closer and keeping an eye out, and like basically scoping out for, as you mentioned, the Gracie coveralls, any lockers or supply room to get a costume change, essentially, of what I know they're not stevedores, but that's what my brain keeps saying.
Mhm.
Is that what are they called?
No,
The
that was
loaders.
no, it's
yeah,
stevedores.
stevedores,
Is it
yeah.
stevedores? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like basically whatever the stevedores have been wearing or what we've seen them wearing, he's gonna look for that kind of an outfit
So
unmanned.
if you're looking for one of these, I think this may be an opportunity to use one of your hooks. You're addicted to adrenaline, you take risks just for the thrill of it. Sure, you could grab, just a pair lying around, or you make sure to steal just the right pair from,
Yeah.
from a locker, right in the middle of the locker room. Who would notice?
Walk in. I like that.
So
Um
what this will be, I'm going to say that this is a keep your cool roll. It's because that sounds like what you're doing. You're keeping your cool under pressure, right? And that's a roll with
okay.
That's a roll with stalwart.
Ugh.
But, and this is your choice. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to be clear about this, because what we're really activating here is your hooked move, the universal move, which is one of your hooks is coming into play. Now, this is a good thing, because when at the end of the session, if one of your hooks applied and affected the story, you get an XP for it.
Right.
That's great. Also, you get an XP when you fail a roll. And when a hook applies, if you choose to let it apply, you roll with disadvantage,
Right.
because you're doing something that maybe isn't ideal, but is part of your character.
Right.
Okay. But you always, as a player, have the option to say, no, that's not applying in this case. And in that case, you tell us why it doesn't apply, how you overcome, ignore, avoid the temptation that hook provides, or the dramatic entanglement of that hook. So it is always your choice.
No, I'm definitely I am liking the just walk in, and that's kind of what I was thinking. And I liked adding the hook to it. Just walking in, and it's like walking to the locker room. You walk by, you grab you see the one locker that's kind of swung open a little bit. I guess the guy's in the shower or not in the room. You just walk through the middle of the room, pull it off the hook, and keep going.
Great.
And walk
All right.
through.
So roll me, roll with stalwart.
So that is a 3.
3d6.
Oh, sorry.
You're going to keep the
3d6.
lowest 2, and your stalwart rating is a 0.
3. How do you have it? Does it keep, or do we just
We'll just
math
look
that
at
as we go? Okay.
We'll just look at it.
And my stalwart is a 0. So
Yep.
Straight roll. Here we go. Let's see what happens. 3, 3, and 3. I got
3, and 3.
successful.
Well, that makes the math easy. That's a 6. So go ahead and mark 1 XP.
1 XP.
Yep. Just check that off. Do that now.
Done.
All right. So you go in, see a locker, saunter up to that locker, and when you turn around, there's 3 burly-looking fellows, one of whom you are pretty sure descended from some sort of uplifted barracuda, with their arms crossed, surrounding you and blocking you in. I haven't seen you around here before, and I know that you aren't Drogo. That's Drogo's locker.
This is locker 7, right? Oh, yeah. This isn't. I'm in the wrong room. I was looking for locker 7. You just got assigned it, and I'm trying to find the right one. Sorry.
You are in the wrong room, buddy. What do you want around here?
I was looking, just like I said, I got assigned a new locker, and I'm just trying to figure out which one's the right one. I think I took a wrong left when I should have taken a right.
We don't take kindly to thieves. I see you around here again. It's going to be trouble.
I mean, I started Thursday, so I'm probably you're gonna see me around eventually.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe we can meet up for a coffee and a scone in the break room later.
Friend, I don't think you want me to meet you up later.
Oh,
Get out of here.
You have a good day.
They part just enough that you can squeeze through if you like.
Yeah, just like squeeze through, like keep like an eye on him and kind of do the glance over and pat the guy on the shoulder as I walk past him and just keep walking.
Yeah, he acts like he's going to swing at you before his buddies are like, no, not worth it. So the problem now is you may have a little trouble staying anonymous around here.
That's why I also didn't want to be anywhere near them when this happened.
Yeah, fair enough. But we cut back to Alistair and Shiana, who are, I assume, currently being nebbish. Being the well, you see, this doesn't quite add up, that sort of thing. Or is there a different approach you're going with here? What's the plan on your end of things?
No, it's one of those things where it's like I'll find somebody who would kind of be in charge of things and be like, look, there's clearly an error in this paperwork. Like, we've got, 4 pounds of stuff in a 3-pound ship. Like, all of this must have shipped out. Just help me figure out which one didn't get on the ship so we can recover it and bring it back to HQ and get it on the next ship, because obviously this doesn't fit. So no thought of anything visual or not putting forth like any kind of suspicion or anything. Just like, no, nobody did anything shady here. Just like, obviously somebody screwed up. I don't care. I'm not here to assign blame. I just need to fix the problem. Very persistently.
Okay. So you're asking around. What's the approach you're using in more general terms? It sounds this is sounding like maybe manipulate.
Let me.
I mean, you're using charm to try and get information, or are you scoping it out? It sounds maybe a little. I would let you kind of roll either way. Scope it out because you're gathering information, or manipulate. This doesn't sound like intimidate here.
No, it's definitely not. Like that's any of that happens will be incidental in this particular case.
Sure.
I mean, it's
up to you. It is entirely up to you.
Well, it's gonna be the same roll for me because I've got a 0 modifier to both of those.
Of course, but it does affect the fiction a little bit.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. I think we're going to go with manipulate because I'm doing this socially as opposed to just like sifting through records and stuff.
Okay.
So that is
that's Slick. Yep. You're rolling with Slick, which is a 0 for you. And this is a straight 2d6 roll again. That's another 9. Perfect. Okay. So you ask around, find, okay, well, there's that. What you end up finding is that while the manifest says, sure, all this stuff was loaded, you find someone who swears, after a couple of drinks, that one of the units, one of the data units, didn't make it onto the ship and was sold off. There wasn't room for it, so What are they going to do with it? Leave it there to obviously be, not loaded on, or make some money on it on the side?
Who would even buy something like that though? Like kind of incredulous, kind of an approach. Like somebody would just buy one of those sight unseen.
Maybe not sight unseen, but they're the kind of they're big racks of data storage. These are essentially server room racks for all intents and purposes, right? Big box of disks.
They're so specialized. I mean, it's
yes and no. We're talking about just large amounts of data storage. Break that down. You could sell it off.
Now, is this filled storage or empty storage?
Filled.
That's a fantastic question, isn't it?
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, I mean, fair. Who even buys that kind of stuff, though? Like, is there like a marketplace for that, or do you guys have a regular guy? Or
I don't, and he gives you a name. There's a look. I'm pretty sure the guy in one of my buddies was on the shift that was loading that thing. All right, and this. Well, listen, my buddy's name over there is Dan Forsyth. He's on third shift over on EDOC, I think, if I remember rightly, right now. Track him down. He can tell you what's going on.
Okay. All right. Because I mean, like, heck, if there's extra stuff left over, like you said.
And I'm not going to make you re-roll for this. You find Dan getting ready to go on shift. He's in a basically sort of company mess, almost, you might call it.
Okay.
Cafeteria style thing. You ask around, a couple people point him out. He's a weedy looking fellow, sitting by himself, currently eating.
All right. Are there vending machines around here with some? Okay. I'm going to go get something that just about everybody likes out of one of the vending machines, some popular candy bar or something like that.
For the record, he looks like a standard Terran. So
okay. Perfect.
Probably no specialized.
Also a standard Terran.
The nice thing about the company mess, to its credit, there's a wide variety of nutritional products available. All sorts of interesting things. But in this case, pretty standard Earth human fare.
All right. So I'm going to get some kind of weird seafood, like something that was cultivated on some alien planet that's like, the crunchy tentacles or something. I don't know. And the candy bar. And I'm going to go like sit down across from him and slide that across at him. I was like, hey man, one of your buddies said that, you might be able to hook me up with somebody who can help me get rid of some extra stuff that got left on a dock. And I'll proceed to start eating my weird seafood.
Maybe. Let's not talk about it here.
All right. Well,
tell you what, I'm just about done. Why don't you meet me outside?
All right. I'll
after you finish your breakfast or lunch. Yeah. Maybe breakfast.
Dinner, actually. Weird time on the shift.
That shift. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll be just outside across the street. We'll talk there.
All right. Sounds good. This is really good, by the way. You should try it the next time you order. I'll keep eating.
He just gives you a scowl. I'm allergic.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's the only conversation you get out of him for the rest of this meal. So
that's fine. I'll finish eating my weird seafood and I'll sit there and like flip through a little bit of news on my data pad and then kind of casually get up and walk over to where you said to meet him.
What kind of news? What happened? What's going on?
I'm gonna check the latest esports scores. Figure there's like a galactic esports league.
It's still League of Legends.
Yeah. League of Legends v 9,847.
Map's still the same.
Yeah, kind of see that, like my team lost and kind of that's how it goes. Close the device and like
Fair enough.
walk over there. It's like,
The good news is the champion pool is enormous.
there's
Can you
9
even
trillion different
imagine?
characters.
But you still always start red.
Oh yeah, always. You see Dan waiting across the street. He's got kind of behind a build, not behind, but next to a building, kind of in a little bit of an alley here. Couple of, there's some fair amount of traffic going on. This is a fairly busy area, so there are a number of vehicles. You have to give it a second to cross. And he meets you. He's got his hands in his jacket pocket. All right. Who are you and who told me to come see you?
Oh, I'm Tim.
Come see me.
And I'll give him like something close to the name of his buddy. So
yeah. All right. What you got?
So I got like some of those big data racks that they use. Like there are a couple of those left from the last shipment. Company ordered too many. We tried to give them back. They're just sitting there cluttering up the dock. I want to get rid of these things before my foreman blasts me for leaving the stuff lying around. Do you know somebody who can help me with this?
Oh, heck. He takes off running.
Interesting.
Ryan, what's Shiana doing?
I will signal Shiana, who hopefully was holding back and watching this from afar.
Specifically, he is running down the street alongside traffic.
Interesting. Okay. Let's look at moves.
No, don't look at the moves. Tell me what you're doing.
Okay. Sure.
So this is one of the interesting things about Powered by the Apocalypse games. You're technically not supposed to reference moves. Players aren't even supposed to look at moves necessarily.
Oh.
It is theoretically, and this doesn't work in practice, but in theory, it is the GM's job to tell you when you have triggered a move and have you roll for it. That means having to know all of your moves and all of the basic moves all of the time and recognizing triggers. In reality, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
But the idea is just narrate the fiction, and when a roll comes up, it comes up.
Okay. I'm going to... I think I don't have a choice based on what I've got on me except to chase after him. And hope the bionics and the legs kick in.
Okay, so let's talk about what you have on you. Let's talk about
gear.
You are away from your supplies at the moment, i.e., you're not on board your ship.
Right.
Okay? You have, as part of your playbook, a few items that you start with. In your case, a pistol, a sniper rifle, a scanner, a shotgun, and a little trinket, a strange artifact of unknown purpose. That one is free.
Right.
Every character starts with 3 gear slots. Okay? But here's the good news. Your character is smart, and your character is prepared, and your character knows what they're going to need. So what you do is you say, cool, good thing I brought this along. Check off one of your gear slots and declare which item you're using.
Okay, I'm going to check off a slot, and I'm going to use my scanner.
Great. Okay, so check off your scanner.
Yep.
Like on the left side there, right?
Oh, right there. Okay.
That says this is the item I've got.
And then check off the slot at the bottom.
Yep. And so what now we have established that you brought along your scanner.
How about that? Okay. Yes, I would like to use my scanner to try and differentiate heat signatures for people.
Great. Okay, check off one of the uses on it.
Okay.
The scanner is kind of an all-purpose tricordery-like device.
Oh, okay.
It does all sorts of magical, wonderful things.
How about that?
And yeah, sounds good. You're using it. You've got him differentiated. What are you doing with that information?
I take off following him, and I motion for Alistair to follow me.
Excellent.
Okay.
Trever, where are you
I'm going
during
to
all
move
this?
I'm going to do like the cop thing where I start cutting through some alleys. I'll pull up like a street map on my phone and move to intercept this guy from an unexpected side.
Okay. Sounds good. Trevor, what are you doing?
I am
Ben, did we lose you?
No, I'm still here. I am still trying to get back. I'm trying not to identify myself with them.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're hanging back and listening in on some
Just
sort
kind of milling around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Alistair, you're running, trying to find a shortcut here.
Yep, sure am.
Great. You're getting Shiana's providing information about where he is. What do you do?
I'm gonna intercept this guy, and one of my gear items is a melee weapon, so I'm gonna say I've got a shock baton, and I'm just gonna stun this dude. So,
okay,
like he's gonna come around a corner, and there's going to be an Alistair there, and if this all goes well, he's going to like have his eyes go wide right before I just zap him, and he collapses.
Okay.
Pokey stick.
Yeah.
So, just for clarity's sake, the melee weapon that you have here is more like a knife. It's something like that and I say that because there are specifically weapons that have like stun as a tag.
Okay.
However, that's just what's on the character sheet. In this case, I'm more than willing to say that. Also, you could probably just tackle this dude. That's fine too, right?
Well, I mean, like, Alistair's enormous, and you didn't describe this guy as very big. I could probably grab the top of his head like Shaq palming a basketball and pick him up.
Absolutely. I'm going to say, you know what? You've got an advantageous position on him. I'm going to let you roll Alpha Strike, which is not something we normally get to roll. It's a roll with calculating.
Okay.
That's a 9?
No, that's my slick roll.
Oh, that's a 5.
5.
Excellent. Okay. So mark an XP.
All right.
And you do, in fact, tackle him. The problem is the way you're going, you tackle him and roll out into traffic.
Oh, boy.
What now?
I'll actually try and throw him to safety before getting to it myself, because I am not here to kill this guy.
Sure, absolutely. Give me then an act quick roll. You're using reflexes, instincts to avoid a danger or negotiate through danger toward a goal.
Okay.
And this is a roll with slick. Use? The other thing I would potentially allow you to do, no, I think this is going to be act quick. A 9, excellent.
9.
Okay, you do it. Great. But you choose one of the 3 options listed. You're off balance or rushed. You have disadvantage going forward. You've left something behind. I tell you what. Or you're pushed to your limits. Suffer 1 stress.
Let's go with that last one.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about stress. Stress is...
Yes, let's.
Okay, so you have 2 tracks that you're keeping here. You have your harm track, and I say track is not exactly the right word. You have your harm, which ranges from just a scratch through I'm rattled, I'm hurt bad, I'm knocked out, to I can't go on, i.e. I'm dead. But anytime you take harm or would take harm, you can instead take stress, take the same amount of stress. Neat. You have 5 stress to absorb. Once your stress track fills up, once you have taken 5 stress, you clear it, and a calamity happens. Now, the calamities are new things that are introduced to the fiction. And what's neat is that the first one is actually good for everybody. So, for example, Peter, Alistair's first calamity is a group of comrades arrive to help end a violent conflict before moving on. Neat. We've got new plot that's been introduced. But then there are things like your great war comes to the local sector, or you suffer a terrible wound. Describe what you've lost. And there's the last one that is how your character's story ends. Sometimes it's, in your case, you survive, the enemy in your war corners you with overwhelming odds. You have the last stand and you roll for it, On a 10 plus, you survive, but you have to return to the front lines. On a 7 to 9, you manage to defeat them, but you have terrible wounds. You retire or succumb to your injuries shortly afterward. And on a 6 minus, you're overwhelmed, but you charge a heavy cost for your death. Every character ends in some way. So stress is a great way to absorb harm because, trust me, I can't go on ends your character's story a lot faster. But you do only have so much of it, which is great fun. Now, the good news is one of the things you can spend your money for that you get for completing contracts on is rest and relaxation, which clears your stress track. So there are ways to handle it. And in fact, there are some moves you can do that relieve a little bit of stress. So that little digression done, you've got 1 stress marked and 1 XP marked, and you are barely there. You're panting a little on the sidewalk on the other side of the street. You've managed to toss this guy over there and dodge away. Not how you wanted to spend today, dodging hover cars zipping around you, but you've got him and you've got yourself over there, and he is currently face down on the sidewalk with your hand on the scruff of his neck.
So I'm going to pick him up with the one arm that I've got, kind of like swivel him so he's looking at me, make eye contact with him with kind of like a bemused expression on my face, and tell him, it may not seem like it, but it's your lucky day. I'm not here for you. I'm just here for whoever you guys sold that data rack to. I couldn't care less about you. You tell me who that person is, and assuming you don't feed me a line of baloney and I have to come back, you'll never see me again. And that's a very good thing.
But
Hi, Blairy.
you only care about the data rack.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Couldn't care less about you. Don't even really care what your name is. You are just a clue to me.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay. I mean, it's just a big empty data rack, but all right. I guess that.
Wait, it's empty, you say?
Yeah.
Empty as in only the rack, or empty as in no data?
No data on it. Look, Look.
Okay, back up. Tell me more of this story. I'm fascinated now.
All right, look.
My hand is still like clamped on his collar.
All right, I was loading the Glacialis, right?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, wrong voice again. Sorry, my default is always gruff. I was on the loading the Glacialis. Look, there wasn't all that many messages going out. Not that much data, right? Normally we don't care where the data goes on there. It's all packed in. But somebody came up to us, me and a couple of buddies, said they wanted to squeeze some extra cargo on the ship, and they'd pay us extra if we got it on there. Well, thing is, cargo wasn't, every once in a while somebody tries to get, crate of whiskey or some specialty item off to, a buddy of theirs, and they don't want to pay the normal shipping prices. It's cheaper to pay us sometimes, right? Well,
yeah, sure, absolutely. Sure, I've bought some of that whiskey.
Yeah, all right, good. You know what I'm talking about. Well, here's the funny thing. This wasn't anything like that. This was a big unit. It's like I want to say it was like one of those data racks, but it was a funky one. I'd never seen anything like it. Looked very, very odd. Well, anyway, talked with one of the guys in the data management team, and they normally don't care where data goes, but they did some juggling, and then I don't know, this isn't my department, but basically like they packed all the messages in to all but one of the units, right? They kind of compressed everything, made something about
Yeah, okay. So they use the emergency compression algorithms and stuffed it all in there.
something like that. They said something about
okay.
deduplication or something. I don't look. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'm
But
familiar.
basically, we had all the messages sort of packed in. We didn't need one of the racks, so we took that rack out, put this thing in, hooked it up. I don't know who the client was. They were dealing with us through a couple of robots, right? These sort of, the type, the faceless, kind of mostly humanoid looking bots, that the sort of generic models. These were a little
right. They've got that speaker like at the top of their chest, so it's a little weird where their voice is coming from. That type.
Yeah. Those types. I don't know. These looked a little custom, but I'm not who am I to judge? All right, great, but
sure, gold plated, whatever.
But these, they sort of.
At this point, I'll just
process.
kind of pull him up to like a sitting position, like walk him over to a park bench or something. I'm still clamped onto him, but he's not going to be able to run again.
Oh yeah, no.
But I'm not.
The
like,
fight has
holding
gone
him
out
in any
of
kind of duress or anything.
Yeah, so. The fight has gone out of this guy.
Yeah.
These bots, they kind of helped us with this thing, because this whole unit, it needed to be hooked up like one of the data units. And that's what they said.
So it needed power while it was in transit?
Power and all that. Yeah, it was a funny thing. We got it hooked up, but they had it connected to a battery system, like this huge rack of batteries. It was kind of a project getting this thing into, loaded in without it being noticed, and then getting the battery stuff out. Basically like this thing, they didn't want it to lose power at any point. I don't know. I took a look at it. I didn't see anything that looked obviously dangerous. I didn't know what it was, but it looked a lot like just, kind of like a weird rack of data. Well, got it on there. Nothing blew up. Great. All right. I think I'm covered. But now we got this data rack, doesn't have anything on it. Well, it's going to be a problem if anybody finds it. Well, better, get rid of it. And you kind of know the rest of it. If I'm going to get rid of it, I'm going to get paid for my trouble, right? So we broke it down, tried to, and, been selling off the data units. Just, people pay for storage. And, there's plenty of vendors around that we come in and say, hey, I got a stack of old data units. Here you go. And they pay, and who cares, right?
Right. Everybody on the shift gets a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, well,
goes and ties one on after the shift.
Basically, we all kind of split them up, sold them off. I don't know. I think Freddie's using some of it for his own personal use. He's got a big old thing under his bunk that he's storing stuff on himself. He's got a big music collection. I mean, a big music collection.
Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody needs a hobby, right?
Yeah. I just wish his wasn't, electro jazz.
I'm not into electro jazz, but okay. So you guys loaded this weird thing onto the ship, and then that was it? Like, once it was on there was nothing else, right? Nobody asked anything about that, and you just sold off this empty data rack and went about your day?
Yeah, I guess the only other funky thing is, I don't know that I ever saw the little helper bots get off the ship.
Ooh, that answers my next question, not in a way I wanted. Okay.
You've been incredibly helpful. I never saw you. I wasn't here. You never saw me, and I think you're late to your shift. I'll give him like a gentle pat on the back, stand up, and walk away.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell my boss I got hit by a car. It feels like I did. Goodbye, and never talk to me again. He runs off.
Count on it.
Do I know anything?
I'll pull up my comm unit and like relay all of this to Trevor. Like, look, our situation's just gotten a little more complicated. We've got a mysterious thing that needed to be hooked up that looked like data storage to this guy and a couple of bots on there. I am wondering if we've got a rogue AI on that ship. That could be bad.
Do I know anything that's the right size but would be tremendously heavier? Grant? Sorry, Space Master?
Space Master.
Space Master Grant.
Space Master.
Yeah. By the way, you know that voice tool I was using during the
Yeah.
desert game? I'm so frustrated. It automatically updated to version 6.
Okay.
My license is only good for version 5.
No.
They don't let you re-download old versions.
And you can't roll back like through Windows or something?
Nope. And they want you to
unfort.
pay for the new version.
Unfort. Okay.
I was going to have like cool robot voices, but no.
But the cool robot voices. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, you know what?
Ooh. Wait, where's my thing?
You are an expert on this.
I am. Engineering, technology, and devices.
So let's talk about this move for a second.
Okay.
Because this is a move that doesn't have a role. And this is one of your background moves. This is your signature move. You're an expert on engineering, technology, and devices. Also medicine, biology, and alien physiology. When you make a move that is covered by one of your fields of expertise, you can choose one of these three things. If you make a move that has you choose from a list, choose one more or one less. You can imagine how powerful that is.
Intriguing.
You can ask me a question about the situation that relates to your expertise. I will answer and then ask you a question which you must answer, which is great fun. And then you can share your expertise with a crew member and give them advantage when acting on that knowledge. So in this case,
second one,
you know what? I think you are sharing expertise.
Okay.
Because you are consulting your accumulated knowledge on something you're an expert in. So give me a roll with calculating.
Okay, just the regular 2d6.
2d6, but add your calculating.
Right. 10.
10. Good news. This is our first big success. On a 10 plus, you can ask a question related to the topic. I will give a useful answer or ask you to make up the answer. On a 7 to 9, by the way, I give you an interesting answer, but it's up to you to make it useful.
Okay, sure.
So, but you got a 10. So what's your question? Do you know, I think, do I know anything about?
Do I know what would be the same size as a data rack, but this as much heavier as I have determined the difference in weight is, minus the weight of the robots, I guess?
You know, minus the weight of the robots is a good part of this. One thing you do know is that the major AI collectives use massively denser storage technology.
Like way more bits, so to speak.
They literally weigh more, and the amount of data that can be stored in them has a actual weight to it. Electricity actually does have a weight, believe it or not.
Oh, that bothers me on a real weird metaphysical level. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's super weird.
Good. I hate that. That's great.
Yeah, charged batteries weigh ever so slightly more
than dead. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's true.
No, I love it.
Yeah, electricity is heavy, like very slightly on a quantum level.
And this is enough to not be on a quantum level.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of data involved. You also know that it's a different substrate.
Oh, like the coding structure or something is different.
No, like the material it's stored on is a different.
It's not silicon. It's like some weird quantum carbon fiber thing or something.
Okay.
Something along those lines. It is something that they tend to keep somewhat secret. You are at least theoretically familiar with it.
Okay.
You are more than welcome to technobabble at me and tell me what it is. But there is a technobabble move. But whatever that is, it is dense, and yeah, it's that certainly could be a possibility, especially if this is something that looked to the casual observer, but maybe a little experienced observer, like another data rack.
And came with its own helper droids.
Sure.
I point this out to Alistair. Or I share this information with Alistair, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried. Dang it. That makes things more complicated for sure. Mm-hmm. So basically, instead of having cargo, we've got stowaways, probably.
I'm worried they aren't just stowaways.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. I mean,
this is likely their ship.
If the crew isn't expecting this, they could, They could easily take over the ship. We could be dealing with a hijacking. Oh boy, that's definitely more complex. Okay, so we need to figure out not only like whereabout, they kind of deviated from the
course.
standard route, but also what kind of pirate havens, criminal locations, rogue space stations, that sort of thing is in the
Or
area.
AI havens.
I mean, if you want to be redundant, sure.
Well, some of them are legitimate.
Right, but the legitimate ones are not going to be where this is going to be going, most
Let's
likely.
hope not.
If we were dealing with a legitimate AI shipment, we would be dealing with something that was clearly marked, that was part of the original manifest, that paid probably not only the normal shipping fee, but also extra insurance.
Or may have been
Like,
shipped intentionally
The
on its
nice
own.
AIs are very professional. I've worked with them before. So,
We should get Trevor and get back to the ship.
yeah.
You see me walking
With
up
you on
behind you
that.
guys.
Good timing. We have problems.
Yeah,
Well,
we're pretty
new-
sure we're
new
dealing with a
problems.
stowaway rogue AI on this thing, possibly with its own
Contingent.
fighting force.
That's
We can. How about
the,
we'll let you guys fill Trevor in on the way back to the ship. How's that sound?
That's the smuggling I was
Good.
expecting.
Indeed.
Yep, you weren't wrong.
I would have
All right.
preferred it was just smugglers.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, a few extra cases of whiskey, some black market music rums, some
Well,
of
yeah.
that weird spice from, Corax 9 or something. That would have all been much better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you're dealing with AIs, the smuggling might always look a little different.
Yeah, like I said, we've got stowaways at best and probably hijackers at worst. I am in complete concurrence with Shiana here.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the next course of action?
Probably wrapping the session. It's getting
Sure,
late
but
here.
in character, where are you headed?
Back to the ship.
ship.
Yeah.
All right.
Back to the ship. Yeah.
So that's where we'll zoom out then, and you guys are headed back to the ship in hot pursuit of what you believe is an AI stowaway aboard the Glacialis,
Hmm.
and trying to track the Glacialis down. Excellent. So we end the session with a special move, the cliffhanger move. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through everybody's hooks and check to see if they applied in this session. Peter, did you have any of yours that you think applied?
Nope.
Okay.
I had one scant opportunity that I didn't take.
Right.
Same
yes.
answer.
Okay. And Ben, we know one of yours did. So good news. Go ahead and mark XP because that hook applied. So this is in addition
To the other ones, so I have two now.
to the one for failing the roll. You get one for, hey, this came in and changed the story. Great. Now,
I would almost say that the obsessed with the mystery, but I don't know if it.
I think we'll get there, but the
Yeah.
direction we headed, we're not there yet.
Okay.
yeah, I think to the exclusion of any danger around me, I think
Yeah.
that
The
did
key.
not apply.
Right.
I'm very much looking forward to it coming up another time. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not, but
we're
that's
talking
fine.
about somebody with 3 prosthetic limbs here.
Yeah.
It's not like
I'm
it's not happened
It's
before.
clearly come up a few
Right.
times.
Yeah.
Now, there are some other questions we want to answer as well. And if we answer yes to these, for each of these questions, everybody gets an XP. So, did we complete a mission or contract? No.
No.
Nope, we got one, but we didn't complete it.
Did we learn something new and important about the universe?
I would say so.
About the universe. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
our
we,
fiction.
we learned
Oh, okay,
some
okay,
stuff
yeah, yeah.
about the way that AIs are shipped around and constructed.
Yep. And that, a lot of the stagecoach ships
And how that
exist,
system
all that
works.
sort of thing. So, yeah, I
Yep.
think everybody mark an XP for that.
Eh.
Okay.
Did we make a new enemy or thwart an existing enemy?
I might have.
A little bit. Because you know what? Because this is fun, I'm going to say yes. You've made an enemy of some of these guys out here. Your reputation with the company may not be as good as you want it to be. And finally,
We did kind of mess with the stevedores a lot here. So
Yeah,
We
I
poked
think
the
so.
bear.
various ways.
And in fact, what I'm going to do is drop the disposition of RMD Logical Transport down 1, just because while you are on perfectly good terms with the company, everybody else, or the company owner, everybody else is not as much on your side.
Be looking over my shoulder at any Barracudas.
That's
Our final question is, was there a big moment that hinged on a crucial roll?
Peter not dying.
Peter not getting hit by traffic?
Yes.
Or Alistair?
Yeah.
Alistair not being hit by traffic.
Yes. So for that one, yes, I think you guys get an XP for that as well. Now,
so
good
we
news.
each get them.
You each get it.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
So I should have 3 now.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay, sick.
And that puts me at 5.
And it should
Right.
also put Peter
So-
at 5, I think.
No, Peter
Nope,
checked
4.
off.
Oh, Peter's at 4. Okay.
He's kept up. So, Ben, good news. You have 5 XP. So that means that you clear your track and you can take an advance. Now, an advance can be one of a couple of things. You can increase one of your approaches.
Okay.
You can increase each of your approaches once. So your volatile can go from -1 to 0. It cannot go up to a +1, right? There's a little
Right,
checkbox
right.
for each one that says, yes, I've upgraded this, so you track that. You can also open up a new gear slot, so you can have 4 items instead of 3. Or you can take a new move.
Ooh.
Yes. So if you look at the list of moves for the Infiltrator,
It's creation 1, right? Or creation 2?
Creation 2 is where it is, and I'll go ahead and pull it up here. The Infiltrator, these are the Infiltrator moves. So you have hacking and cracking, so you can be a hacker, right? On 10 plus, minimum fuss. You choose one of the negative side effects. On a 7 to 9, it's no cakewalk. 2 minimum side effects. Jammer, when you remotely hack or jam someone's equipment or cybernetics, discharge this and roll with slick. 10 plus, it shorts out. They're going to have to get it fixed. 7 to 9, they'll have to take a few moments to fiddle with it, but they'll get it working again if they do. But you have temporarily succeeded. Micro drones. So you have a suite of small drones, no bigger than a small insect. You get to describe them, and they get to do a few little things. Lethal strike, when you have your target in your sights and they can't do anything to stop you, discharge this move and describe how you end their existence or incapacitate them.
I think I'm going to take float like a butterfly.
Excellent. When you use your reflexes or agility to avoid danger or deal with a threat, you have advantage to act quick. That's a great move. I love it. There are also, by the way, a bunch of moves that create different uses for grenades. Grenades are just sort of a general item, and you can just say, yeah, instead of like exploding grenades, I have smoke grenades. Or
I saw the
EMP
smoke grenades. That was cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just pointing that out as a general note. So, okay, so you have an additional move. So all you need to do is just copy it and paste it in, and it'll be in the character keeper.
Yep.
There you go. And I'll clean up the formatting. Don't worry about that. There's a little formatting quirk with the thing. Anyway, so we've done our XP. Next time, we'll get on board the Desmond Doss and head off into space. And we'll see what happens then.
And at Ben's
All right.
suggestion, I am slowly naming NPCs after Patreon backers.
Oh, good fun. That's I think, a very good use for the crew.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. That's our first session of Impulse Drive. Those of you who haven't played PBTA games before, what do you think?
I'm getting used to it. I really like it, though.
I like it despite myself because this is very counter to how I want to play. Like, I really dislike playing systems that emphasize things going badly.
Mhm.
And that's not at all how I'm very much like, I'm your stereotypical min-maxer. Like, I want to build the character correctly and it just always do what it's supposed to. So this is
Sure.
very difficult for me.
See,
but it's
that's-
sweet.
I
That's the
started
difference.
in much the same headspace.
I live for the fails of gaming.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've never been that guy, but this is sick.
I love Nat ones more than anything else. Well,
Oh yeah, they're good times. And what I like about this is when you fail a roll, things happen. The story still moves forward. It's not, and I think part of the traditional role-playing game structure that contributes to people wanting to play characters that always succeed is that if you fail in a lot of cases,
it's just a
The
harsh.
plot doesn't move forward.
Well, and
Right.
it's just this harsh
Happen.
down.
Or you just die.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that, but even then, it's like, and I've missed my attack, and I've missed my attack, and
Right.
I didn't climb the wall.
I missed my
All
attack
right,
and
well,
my
I'll
weapon
roll
broke
I
again.
this
didn't
time.
pick the lock, and I didn't
Yeah.
find the information. And
Like-
yeah,
Those aren't.
You have
when
to
you make it different. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to succeed in order to enjoy a story.
Do the thing. Yeah.
Whereas in this case, story happens. We just find out what kind of story.
Yeah, I like that the mechanic of the game pushes the positive outcome of a negative,
Yes.
whereas the traditional is a negative, and you have to really attempt to role play the negative into a positive.
Right.
This is like when Wizards changes the mulligan rule in Magic to have there be like less feel bads.
Yeah, to a certain degree,
Like
it
there
is.
are less feel bads to the like. I don't mind it. I still don't like it, but I definitely don't mind it as much.
It is a learned thing, like on
Right.
both ends, right? You've learned to game a certain way. You have to learn how to break that habit and think about it in a different
Right.
way. And it is very different. It is very weird, right? Especially because it is all on you as a player to make things happen,
Right.
right? I say that when there's an opportunity, my job is to jump in and say, all right, so this is also happening. And that includes if you guys are like, well, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, let me change the story and tell you what's happening, right? But it is a learned process. So you will get used to it, I promise. It may not be your cup of tea forever, right? And that's totally fine. But I did want you to experience it, and I wanted to show it off to our listeners because it is such a different and interesting way to play.
Well, and it's very much not what we normally do, or certainly not what we normally do for very long. So
Right.
I'm down for it. It's cool.
The closest really is something like Roll for Shoes. Very
Right.
player driven. The GM doesn't roll at any point. It's all right, tell me.
Failure doesn't feel abysmal.
Failure doesn't feel abysmal, and
Right.
failure also drives story.
Right. And giving those kind of XP systems that reemphasize the fact that failure is a learning point
Mhm.
is not only a good life lesson, I suppose, but
Right.
just makes it, again, not feel as bad.
In fact, it actively encourages you to try
fail.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, because you either succeed or you get some XP, and either one of those is an outcome that's desirable for you as a player.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
and the
that's why
other
Ben
thing-
has a new thing. Ben failed a roll.
Yeah,
Right.
Ben has a new
we
thing.
did one
Yeah.
session, and I'm being a little generous with some of the definitions on stuff.
Sure.
But that's because it's a short little mini
Short
campaign.
run,
I want
yeah.
to show off I want to show things off. That's totally fine, and there's no reason to be stingy with it. One of the other things I like about this sort of system is if you think about how most people play something like, I'm going to say Dungeons and Dragons, but this is true of a lot of games. You are trying to only roll the things you're good at.
Yes. Yeah,
Whereas
you
here-
leave the other up to the rest of the party.
You're telling the story. You're doing not even heroic, but interesting, active things. You're playing that compromised active character. That's part of your agenda.
Right.
And doing things you are not good at is going to create complications, but also give you XP.
Well, and in a lot of science fiction and science fantasy, you see that in the story. You don't,
Sure.
not everyone
Right.
in Star Wars only ever does the thing they do well.
No.
And
You
even
have
sometimes
a
the
lot
thing
of-
they do well doesn't work.
You have
Right.
a lot of second act issues that you skip over in traditional gaming, whereas this emphasizes those second act failures as
Major plot
still
points,
moving the
potentially.
plot forward, and you're still learning, you're still gaining. You might not be gaining the way you wanted to, but
You are
you're
still.
still gaining something.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, the whatever our rear admiral is, that art is sick.
Yes, I love that art.
Dig
For the
that.
record, there is if you mouse over the name, there should be a little pop-up, and there's a URL for the original
Oh.
art to credit the
Yeah.
artist with.
I did that. It's really cool.
How do you make the pop-ups
Shift F2 or
for whatever box you're clicked on?
yeah, it's
I'll try and
the
remember that
insert.
for later.
You go to insert and note. It's actually
Okay.
used all over the character sheet. If you look at, for example, the crew tab over the harm, there's descriptions and how to interact with all of them in all the harm columns, things like that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Okay, love it. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap up. Grant, thank you. This is cool.
Oh yeah.
This is very cool. This is now on the list of, I will be honest, we have a list of things now that need to be edited and uploaded, but this is already on the list, so you should hear this shortly, hopefully. And yeah. And we're thinking, at least several sessions of this?
I was kind of planning on just a couple, honestly.
2 or 3, maybe 4.
2 or 3.
Okay.
This is a short contract.
Gotcha.
Right. I have it as a clock of maybe 5 scenes total. Right.
Oh, okay.
This has been 1 scene, and it went a little longer than I expected, but that's okay. Right. It's however it plays out. So yeah, probably at our usual rate of play, 2 more sessions.
So this is kind of like in the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon where like things take a 2 or 3 episode arc, and every season has like multiple 2 or 3 episode arcs.
The design of it is actually to have like 1 contract per episode. Right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think that assumes longer play sessions.
Like playing for 4 or 5 or 6 hours at a time.
4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, and snappier.
More familiar with the system kind of play moments.
Yeah, more familiar with the system, and also shorter scenes. Right?
Oh, okay.
We've stretched this out, and really, this has probably been 2 scenes, right? Getting your contract and this first investigation. I kind of had it listed as 1, but I'm learning this whole process myself.
Right. Okay. Sick.
So, but yeah, I've got a few things planned out, but again, my notes are just here are this is about as long as I think it will take.
Right.
And here are some complications you might run into, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well,
you guys get to choose.
And if you are listening to this and you haven't listened to the Microscope sessions where we did all the world building for this, go check those out. They were super cool. We have lots of different things coming. Pathfinder has started. We have this, and we have whatever comes after this, which we haven't discussed yet. There's a list. It's fine. We'll figure something out. So yeah, thank you for listening. CityOnTheHillGaming.com and all over wherever you get your podcasts. And is stgcast.org still a place they can go listen to the backlog?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
I think for a little longer, but it's going to expire relatively soon.
Okay.
But it's also up on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
True.
and all those other places.
I think we've said that we had like 6 years left of the site being up.
Yeah, that may not be quite accurate. I need to double check
domain stuff.
Okay. Log back into the old bank account and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, been there. Okay, so check them out too. And thanks for listening, Grant. Thanks for doing this. It was super cool.
Oh yeah.
Ben and Peter, thank you guys. And
sure,
we will talk to you guys later. Have a blessed day. Thanks for listening to City on the Hill Gaming. If you'd like to hear more episodes, find us online at cityonthehillgaming.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at City on the Hill Game, on Instagram at City on the Hill Gaming. You can also find us on YouTube or Twitch by searching for City on the Hill Gaming. If you'd like to send us an email, you can find us at cityonthehillgaming@gmail.com. If you want to hear more from the Saving the Game folks, find them at stgcast.org for their backlog of episodes. And we're also on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/cityonthehillgaming. Thanks as always to all of our Patreon backers, Grizzly Rich, JD, Brian, Sir Lord Epic Name, Andrew and Christina, and Tony. Thank you guys for all you do to support the show. We love you, and we appreciate all of your help. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed day.